Hi boys, we're just going to have a look at the last assessment task, assessment 3, core 2. I'm going to have a look at question 1 and question 4. Before we look at that, I would like to just draw everyone's attention to the rubric that was placed at the top of the question paper. Please make sure that you have a look at that. It gives everyone a clue of what some of the things that the markers will be looking for in your responses. So in this particular one, demonstrate knowledge and understanding of health and physical activity concepts relevant to the question, apply the skills of critical thinking and analysis, communicate ideas and information using relevant examples, and present an logical and cohesive response. So they're the things that you need to include in your responses to ensure that they are hitting the mark. Most of you did, which was good. First question number 1, outline how carbohydrate loading can improve performance. 3-mark question. The dot point that it comes from is in relation to, just slide up here. And there we go. The key or the critical question is how can nutrition and recovery strategies affect performance? That's the critical question you are looking at and understanding here. The nutritional considerations, we're looking at pre-performance, including carbohydrate loading. So the emphasis is on this part of the dot point, pre-performance, and we're looking specifically at carbohydrate loading. The key term was outlined, sketch in general terms and indicate the main features of. So you needed to look at that in your response, and most people were able to do that really well. If we have a look at the marking rubric for this question, sorry, my slow computer. And for you to get in that top bracket, 3-mark, you need to do these things here. Indicate the main features of carbohydrate loading and how it improves performance. So there's 2 elements there. One is the main features of carbohydrate loading, and then how does that affect performance or improve performance. That's the 2 things you need to look at there. Demonstrates a thorough knowledge of carbohydrate loading, illustrates with relevant examples, and presents in a clear and logical way. Again, that comes back to that initial part of the rubric on the question paper that I was referring to initially. In your answer, you need to talk about carbohydrate loading and the relationship between maximization of glycogen stores, and look at or present an understanding that it is for endurance type activities. Having said that, you also would be good if you could discuss the tapering effect of training, where you would decrease the training that last week prior to the event. Generally for carbohydrate loading, it's going to take place 2 to 4 days prior to the performance of the athlete. So those are the things there. You also need to look at how it can improve performance, and a lot of boys refer to a 2 to 3% increase in the performance output or the energy stores that were available to the athlete to thus improve performance, which was really good again. I liked how some boys were able to give examples of how much food to eat to improve, to enable carbohydrate loading, and here we've got an example of that. You can see in this response discusses the amount of, or talks about glycogen, talks about how much could be eaten and should be eaten, talks about marathon runner and cyclists, long distance cyclists, and again talks down a little bit further on in the response, is able to give us an indication of how that improves performance. So that's an example of a good response there that you'll have a look at. Thank you.